What does it take to create a vibrant, thriving life? First, the sad news is that Thoreau was right. Most people are leading quiet lives of desperation, lacking in meaning, fulfillment, and vitality. But we choose more. We choose to create extraordinary lives. And the Art of Vibrant Living show entertains you with inspiration, empowerment, and education to create your life into a masterpiece. It's time. Let's vibe up. Aloha, y'all. Daniel Aaron here. I'm your host. This is the Art of Vibrant Living show. I'm so excited to be with you live or by rebroadcast. We have a truly phenomenal guest today. I'm so excited. Been waiting for this conversation for a while. Before I tell you more about him, let's talk about you. Why are you here? What's going on? And I hope and I imagine you're here because you're up for more vibrancy. You want to create even more vibrant and thriving life, which is awesome. And so here's a little tip, suggestion. I implore you, please take in the information. Yes, be entertained and inspired, and actually do something with it. Take one of the gems that you get from Shiraz today, at least one, and say, that's such a good idea. I'm actually going to apply that in my life now, today, soon, right? Info is good. Action is great. So all that said, here we go with a little intro to Shiraz Babu, who is a multi-award winning author, international speaker, reality interventionist. And if you don't know what that means, you will soon. I'm excited for you. He is known for helping people to rewrite their reality and overcome challenges in their lives. Shiraz has helped thousands of people to overcome illness, poverty, and unconsciously addicted struggles. We will unpack that. Overall, he is a renowned personality in the area of reality addiction, and his book, How to Rewrite Reality, has changed lives across the globe. I am so excited that you are here with us. Shiraz, thank you for joining us.
It's great to be here. Sorry, I have a little visitor that's just been yelling at me for the last couple of minutes during the intro.
Perfect. Yeah, welcome. Cool. So I'm, have the slight advantage over our audience here because I know you a little bit already. And hopefully we'll get to talking about rewrite reality interventions, unconsciously addicted struggles. Those are juicy topics. Would you start us out though with telling a little bit about how'd you get here?
How'd I get here? Oh, that's a story that started really, really young, actually. While it started young, I didn't even notice it until I was like 22 years old. I was in university. I was studying to be a doctor. Everything was going great for me. And then I got hit with rheumatoid arthritis. And I got it in every single joint in my body. Right. So, and I know people get arthritis in like their back or their arms, like every joint. So there were nights where I sipped my dinner through a straw because my jaw was so swollen and painful I couldn't chew.
Wow.
And, when this kind of thing happens, it just derails your life. You think you have the plan and then suddenly the plan is gone. And I know a lot of people can relate to that, having the plan and have it just completely go. So I was upset. I was frustrated. I went into depression. And I would snap at people because I was just angry at myself and the world. And eventually I decided, you know what, I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna get out of this. And I tried everything that you're supposed to do. I tried medication. That didn't work. I tried diet and supplements. That didn't work. Yoga, meditation, magnets, like acupuncture. And it wasn't just like a little bit of a trial. Like, I had this for 18 years. So it was, let's try this and try it. Doesn't work. Okay, let's try this. Try it. Doesn't work. And it wasn't until I met this new mentor in India that my whole concept of reality changed. So there was a program there called Combined Therapy. And I was talking to my dad about it, and he said, "Yeah, you should try this out. They've had success with multiple illnesses." And I'm like, "Multiple illnesses?" And he goes, "Yeah, it's like cancer and diabetes." And I'm like, "Why aren't they worldwide? Why aren't they famous?" He goes, "I don't know. This is what I've heard." So I booked a flight, went over there, started working with the guy, and it was not what I expected. Like, I expected some sort of energy healing because I'm in India, or some sort of crazy technique. But all the guy did was talk to me
Hmm.
for 2 weeks and explored what happened in my life and what I've been through. And it was almost like being with a psychiatrist, only he wasn't trying to solve anything. He was just collecting information. And then finally he says to me, "Well, Shiraz, do you think you're responsible for everyone in your life?" And I'm like, "What? No, I don't." He said, I know you don't think you do, but from all our conversations, this is over weeks, he said, you believe, you have this belief that you need to be responsible for everyone. And I thought about it, and I said, I know I'm a responsible guy. I'm always the designated driver. I make sure, people get home all right. But I don't think I'm responsible for everyone. And then I said, what does it even have to do with arthritis? And he said, oh, well, you don't want to be responsible for everyone. That's too much work. I'm like, yeah. He said, and if you're lying in bed in pain, you don't need to be responsible for anyone, and you don't have to feel guilty about it. The arthritis isn't the problem, it's the solution.
Hmm.
So I'm like, that's messed up. Why would I do that to myself? And he said, but that's what most chronic illnesses are.
Hmm.
They're solutions for problems people don't realize they have.
Hmm.
So I thought about it, and I grew up science background, logic. I love puzzles. And so I looked at the whole situation. I said, okay, if what you're saying is true, all I have to do is stop being responsible for everyone, and the arthritis should just go away. And he said, yeah, if you actually believe it deep down. So I just sort of gathered my will, and I said, okay, I'm not going to be responsible for anyone. And when I woke up the next morning, there was no pain. There was more mobility. I I'm freaking out because the inflammation's gone. And now the damage, 18 years worth of arthritic damage, was still there.
Hmm.
But the arthritis itself was just poof. And there was actually a track at the place I was at, and I was on that track every day. But when I was walking around, I was like hunched over. It was like this 70-year-old body is what it felt like, and I'm just trying to stay fit and move around. And now I'm there, and I'm just motoring. I'm motoring around. I'm going between people. The people that have been seeing me for weeks are like, "What is happening? Who is this guy?" And then I went home, and no one asked me to be responsible for them.
Hmm.
Because why would they? That was a belief I created. It didn't actually exist. But I was living from this belief, and I didn't have to anymore.
That's amazing and beautiful. And so a couple questions come. One is there's a precept sometimes put forward in the coaching world, which is it's way better not to tell someone something, to invite them to see it for themselves. So I'm curious, when he said, "This is what's going on, Shiraz," it made sense to you. It landed for you. Not at first, I know from what you just said, but
Yeah.
what allowed that? What do you think? What allowed that to land for you?
I think it's because once it's sunk in, it made sense.
Yeah.
Like on the surface, it makes zero sense. Why put yourself through the pain? But I had to create a situation that was safe, that there was no excuse, right? And if I can't get out of bed, there's like, I can't be helping other people. So that just goes to how powerful the belief was that I had to be responsible for other people.
Hmm.
Right. And yeah, so it was just me solving the puzzle that caused it to really land.
Yeah. Beautiful and inspiring. When you said you came home and nobody was asking you to be responsible for them. And I think of that truism that we don't see the world as it is, we see the world as we are.
Yes.
Right. And one more piece that I keyed in on what you said, you gathered your will.
Yeah.
Right? And my sense is from my personal experience and lots of people I've worked with and seen is that's something that a lot of people struggle with or are not so efficacious with. So is there anything you can say about, well, one, how you did that, and two, maybe why that's a challenge for people?
So I did that because I think it's when I solve a problem, it's done, right? And that's just how I was trained. That's how I operated in my reality. Um, if there's doubt as to what's going on, things don't click for everyone. Like, and I see people when they want to change their lives, they're not in full intention; they're in hope.
Right.
Right? Not this is going to change. My life is going to get better. It's like I hope this changes. I hope my life gets better. And that's not what causes things to change. That's not what creates manifestation. Right? There's a quote people talk about from the Bible with Jesus, and he said, "If you have the faith of a mustard plant, a mustard seed, then you can move mountains." And I find a lot of people say, "Well, he just means you need a little bit of faith." And the way I interpret that is a mustard seed has no doubt it's going to become a mustard plant, which is a really strong, powerful plant, right? And so that's where you have to be zero doubt that this is who you're going to be. But as humans, it's like, oh, I'm a mustard seed. I'm going to become a mustard plant. And then adversity hits us. And you know what? Orange tree. Let's go with orange tree. And then more adversity. It's like grapevine. Let's go with grapevine. And that's why you don't get the results.
100%. Yeah. And the language that I use often is it's who we are being, or our identity. And I think of that when you spoke about, the mustard seed knows who it is, knows it's going to become, right? So that makes a lot of sense to me. What happened when you got back? Did you continue with the medical track?
No, so now I could get back. I could just go back to work. Like it didn't occur to me to now look into this and do what I'm doing now. It was just like now I can work without pain. Yay! And so that's what I did. I just went back. I was in software development and designing all these systems. And on the side, though, I started exploring this a little bit more. I saw the movie The Secret. I started reading books by Bob Proctor, Joe Vitale, Wayne Dyer, and then I started learning techniques to cause these kinds of shifts. Partly because I thought, okay, if I can learn to do this, what other things can I change? Except it was easier to practice on other people to see what the results were like. And this is the one thing is like I've learned, your mind hides this stuff from you. And so it's better to work with someone else to find your crap.
Right.
Right. And so I had some mentors I was working with so that they could help me get clear of stuff. And then eventually I was working with one of my friends and she goes, Shiraz, people will pay you for this. And I'm like, no, this is just a hobby. This is a thing I like doing. And she goes, well, they will pay you for the thing you like doing. And so I said, yeah, no, they won't. And so I made a bet with her. I said, I'm going to start charging $100 an hour to do sessions with people. And if they start paying me, then yes, you're right. It's a business. And if they don't, then I win. Right. And I'm just going to continue doing what I'm doing. And then people started paying me. Right? I'm like, oh my God. And so I started off as a smaller business. But then I just started to fall in love with the results I was seeing in people. And the other business fell away. I expanded into this fully. And now it's all I do. And I love it. I love going out and speaking and transforming people's lives and seeing them just get happier.
I'm with you. That's the greatest gratification in the world. So, well, we might as well use that as our segue to dive into reality interventionist.
Yes.
I'm not sure everybody yet speaks that language. What's that mean?
That means that it's not just about shifting your mindset. You are actually physically addicted to your current circumstances. And if you don't include that in what you're trying to change, the results often don't stick. So, and I've seen this happen. It's happened to me. It's like you go to a retreat or go through a workshop and you start to see progress. You start to see success. And then after a few weeks or a few months, you lose it. And you're like, well, I guess it didn't work. It's like, no, it absolutely worked, except in the state you were in, you were getting dopamine hits from your current situation. So, like, let's say were taught that you have to work hard to succeed. Then every day you worked hard and go, wow, I really put in a hard day's work. You got to hit a dopamine. And so this dopamine becomes an addiction. Every day you get your dopamine hit for working hard. And then you create a new reality where I don't have to work hard. And when you create that reality, then the hard work goes away. You start getting results. Life gets easier, but your fix is gone. And when your fix is gone, your body goes into withdrawal. So it sends signals to your unconscious mind saying, get this person to do stuff to create hard work again. And from your point of view, circumstances just come up, so you have to work hard. But what's really happening is you're creating those circumstances so you can go back and get your fix. So once you understand there's a physical component, not just a mental component, then you can start treating this like a rehab when you're going from one reality to another reality. And then you get addicted to the new reality. Because here's the thing, your body wants to be addicted to something. But you haven't been consciously choosing what it's addicted to. So I went from working hard. I mean, I would pull an all-nighter and go, oh my God, look at me, look what I'm capable of doing. And then, I'd start burning myself out because I'm working hard all the time. So I switched it up to, well, what if I decide to do something and it just happened easily and magically? And so once I set that as the addiction, whenever something just became easy, then I get my dopamine hit. And I get it over and over and over again. So now working hard, the addiction there is gone. Having things show up magically, the addiction is there. And so now I've just changed what my body uses to keep in an addictive state. That's basically, it wants to be addicted to something to create a system that's in homeostasis, where everything just flows and works normally. But what flows and works normally could be chronic illness or poverty or loneliness, or it could be abundance and happiness and health.
Yeah, makes complete sense to me. I love the understanding, the concept of creation, that reality is malleable, right? And it's interesting because I had a conversation with someone recently who said, reality is reality, right? It's out there, it's fixed. And there wasn't really the space in that conversation for me to offer another possibility.
Yeah.
So I said, hopefully we'll come back around to that. But it's what he said though is a very common concept. Like, the stuff around us, that's reality. It doesn't matter what I think about it. Doesn't matter who I am. It's shared reality. It's the same for everybody. And he was responding to the statement that we hear a lot: you create your own reality. So what would you say to that statement? What other possibility would you offer?
Everyone experiences their reality through the lens of their stories. And so 10 people can be in the same room, have an experience, and they all come back with 10 different stories of what actually happened in that room.
Yeah.
Right. And, physics has shown us that 99.9999% of what's around us is energy, and only that 0.00001% is actual matter. So our physical reality is not what we think it is, and it can change.
Yeah.
I actually had a client that she hadn't had a client in 2 years. And she's just like, I don't know what's going on. And we looked at it, and it was, and this is very common with healers. She had great results when people worked with her for free, but people wouldn't pay her, right? And the story was, well, if once they pay me, I have to get it right. I can't mess up. I will feel bad. I feel like I let them down, or I will feel like I suck if I don't get it right. Except they've got all this evidence that they get it right because they've been doing it for free and getting amazing results. So as soon as money comes into the equation, everything changes. So I had to get her to a point where you don't change how you're showing up if money's there. You just show up exactly as you're showing up. In fact, when people pay me, I said, now we can really play. We've been playing up to this point, but now you're putting money on the table. We're really going to play. And so when I got her into that mindset, she she got a ping from a job on a board she had put for her services. Someone suddenly contacted her, and she's just like, "This is so weird," because it was like 15 minutes after she cleared that belief, and it was a posting she had put up 2 years ago. So like it would be so hard to even find. And she's just like, "What is happening?" I'm like, "You're okay with it now." And so everyone that was looking at that, not seeing you in your new reality, they're looking at it and going, "I need to work with her." And I love when things like that happen. It's crazy and it seems insane and magical, but that's why I named my company Energetic Magic, because we're about the energy and we create magic.
So. I love it. Yeah. And two things come to mind. One of my mentors years ago said, magic is only magic until you know the methodology.
Mm-hmm.
So, what you said, it's not rocket surgery. I mean, it is physics on some level, right? And going back to my friend who said, reality is reality, right? I love what you said about that. The irony for me of that statement, and I'm looking forward to getting a chance to speak more about it, is he's an incredibly joyful guy, right? And the way he lives his life is through that lens. That's who he is, right? So, and the other thing that comes to mind, I remember years ago reading Richard Bach's book, Illusions. Right? The subtitle something like Tales of a Reluctant Messiah or something like that. And I read this when I was pretty young or early in my journey. And I remember he was describing a scene in there where there's like the Messiah character has an apprentice and he's teaching the apprentice how to shift clouds. Right. And I was so early in my stuff, but when I read that, I was like, I think he means that literally. I don't think he means that as a metaphor. And I was just kind of like, it was a question for me. So not long ago, as I'm deepening my practice, and it's great to go back to influential books, I go back to that book and I read it again. And something I didn't recall from the first time is another story in there where he's teaching his apprentice, is that he teaches him how to move through earth as if it's liquid. Right.
Yeah.
And again, I was like, I know that's real and that's possible, right? Anything is possible. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you've written a book about this very thing, how to rewrite reality. Will you tell us a bit about that?
So yeah, this actually funny story with this book in that I was looking to grow my business, and I'm like, how can I do this? And I went to a workshop, and the guy's there. Well, if you want to get more visibility, if you want to gain authority, then write a book. Right? You use it as a lead magnet. It'll draw more questions, clients towards you. And I'm like, okay, let me write a book. So I bought his program. I started writing the book. But when I wrote the book, I started getting what we call downloads. All this information started coming in, and it went into the book. And when I was done how to rewrite reality and I put it out there, it had this language in it that I'd never used before, especially around genres, that my clients all use now. So the whole book, How to Rewrite Reality, is done in the metaphor of stories. The subtitle is called Becoming the Author of the Stories that in Our Lives. And so to give you an idea, the chapters are things like your backstory, your genre, your archetype, your purpose, supporting characters, driving the narrative, plot holes. And so I figured everyone relates to stories. So if I talk in terms of stories, people will get the concepts. And the genres are, you can be at the lowest level in the tragedy genre. You can go into the horror genre where everything scares you. You can be in the drama genre where a lot of people live. Documentary where things just are, this is what's happening, same old, same old. Action adventure where you're really changing things in your lives. Comedy where everything's fun. And then finally prophecy, where you just say, this is what's going to happen, and it happens. And so, yeah, my clients will say, oh, I noticed that I'm in drama. I want to get to comedy. Like, and it was just crazy. This language exists, and as more and more people read the book, things just started changing. I had one person say, I gave How to Rewrite Reality to my son. He's been in depression for 3 years. He came out of depression after reading your
Mm.
book.
Mm.
And I'm like, holy crap. So this was supposed to be a lead magnet. It's not.
Well, that's beautiful. That's inspiring.
Yeah.
And well, so can you give us a bit more of an idea of how you work with people on that?
When I work with people personally, I have a conversation with you about what you want to shift in your life. Right. The thing that's stuck, and keep in mind, anything that's stuck, anytime where you're getting the same results, that's an addiction.
Mm.
And that addiction is always a solution for an emotional problem you're not looking at. So one of the things I tell my clients is when you're in that stuck space, instead of saying, why is this happening to me? Or why can't I get out of this? Or even what do I have to do to get out of this? You want to change the question to, what's the hidden benefit in here that I'm
Mm.
not seeing?
Mm.
What's the emotional turmoil I'm avoiding by being in here, or the immediate fix? Because sometimes this immediate fix, there are people that are struggling their whole lives, and they wish the struggle would end. But there are other people in their lives that are saying, "Oh my God, we see you working so hard. Keep at it. We're rooting for you. We're supporting you." And whenever they say that, it feels like love. So they're getting a fix. They're getting the dopamine because it's interactive. They're getting oxytocin, right? And you're going to get some few more chemicals. And then if things start to go smoothly for you and your life takes off, you're not going to get those responses,
Mm.
and that addiction goes away. So sometimes by staying in the thing you hate, the illness, the struggle, the bad relationship, you're getting the fix that you don't realize you need, that you need to break free from.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and as you speak about it more, it becomes even more clear that it's a literal biochemical addiction that you're speaking
yes,
of. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, so when I work with people, I've learned how to pick up on the energy of the stories.
Hmm.
So when you're saying something to me, I can tell when your conscious beliefs match your unconscious beliefs.
Hmm.
And this isn't a gift, it is a skill. I train people how to do this.
Gotcha.
All right. And because a lot of people think, oh my God, you've got such a gift. I'm like, don't, no, no, I've got a skill. You can get that skill too. Don't put
Hmm.
it all on me. Like, so,
Yeah.
right. And so then once we see there's a discrepancy there, we'll dig down and find out what's this underlying story that's going on. When we get to the story, then I'm going to ask you, are you willing to step out of that story?
Hmm.
So it could be something like we talk about working hard. Are you willing to step out of the story that the only way to succeed is to work hard?
Hmm.
Working hard is a way to succeed. It's not the only way to succeed.
Hmm.
Right. And then if you are in agreement, if you're like, yeah, then it actually shifts in that moment. It's a rewiring of neural pathways and a shift of energy.
Hmm.
But it has to be a real yeah. It has to be, I'm done with this story. I'm making the change. Not, yeah, Shiraz, that would be nice. I'd like it to happen. It's you're at this point, once I ask the question, you're the one doing the work.
Right.
And I'll be able to tell if the yes you give is a genuine yes or it's just a hopeful yes.
Right.
Right. And so then the shift occurs. Now here's the weird thing. When you are in that place and you decide to shift, my body reacts to energy shifts around me, even
Hmm.
online, and I tend to yawn and cough.
Hmm.
So, and at first it was weird, and I was like, well, how do I not do this? But my clients like it because they see if I'm yawning and coughing, they know they've just shifted something inside themselves.
Yeah.
Right. And so if I'm just staring at them after they say yes, they're like, damn, it didn't work, did it? So
Yeah. Well, you become something like a radar or a meter for what's happening in them.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And it works similarly for me when I'm working with clients. So question on that, because in at first, and I think I know the answer, but I'd still love some further clarification for all of us. In one way, what you're describing sounds like hypnosis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yet I have a sense that it's not really hypnosis because you're well. What do you think? What would you say?
No, it's basically me just asking a question, are you done with this?
Hmm.
Right. That's what me. I mean, when are you willing to step out of the story? So I don't get you into a hypnotic state. Um, there's nothing about even the interaction through my voice or anything,
Hmm.
because I've done this over text. So it just works, and it works because you're the one making the decision to change.
Right.
Right? My talent comes in finding out what needs to be changed,
Hmm.
and then it's on you.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Well, so can we do a little experiment to show people?
Sure, absolutely.
All right.
Okay. So, what would you like to work on?
Yeah, okay. So something that is currently underway for me, might as well make it real, right?
Mhm.
Is I've been oriented toward love and service for most of my career, 29 years now, since I had a spiritual awakening. And recently, it came to my awareness that while that's true and good and beautiful, there's also been a current of self concern, right? And that while that's a normal thing in the world, I also see that it's diminishing the possibility of how I can serve and what I can give, right? That it somehow pollutes sometimes my work with people or prospecting, so to speak, or other relationships. So as I became aware of this, I say, yeah, you know what? I'm committed to love, service, healing, absent of self-concern, right? Whether that be what I want or how I think people see me or any of that, anything that's in the way of just being truly present for and truly being for the other in what I do. Right? Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
So, do you always have to put others before yourself?
Do I always? No.
That's not coming up true.
Okay.
Okay. So, along the line, you've been taught that you have to put everyone else's needs first. You have to take care of other people, and that has to be your priority, right?
Okay.
And I know you know this, that we have to put ourselves first, right? You're probably familiar with you're on an airplane and the oxygen mask drop. Who do you put the mask on, right? We teach this. However, it can still get stuck in our systems that we've got to put other people first. So, so let's tackle it from that level. Are you willing to step out of the story that you have to put other people before yourself?
Yes, and that doesn't. I might not have been very clear in what I spoke to you because
Okay.
that's not what I feel like I'm working with right now, right? Um,
Okay.
so
So,
actually, I'm really good at putting myself first, um, and right now, what I'm wanting to shift is more on the level of, and this is of course a extremely high ideal, but some of my mentors like like Jesus or Mother Teresa or Martin
mhm,
Luther King Jr. or Gandhi, right? The
mhm,
level of service they offered that came from pure love and wanting to serve others, right? I become
okay.
aware that there's been a current, sometimes, a lot of times unconscious, of trying to get something for myself at the same time. Does that make sense?
Oh, so you're trying to get something while in service?
Yeah, not oftentimes not aware of it, though
Mhm.
I did become aware of it. So I'm kind of like the opposite of what we're speaking about.
Okay. That's interesting because there was something there, but we can come back to that. The
Okay.
thing to keep in mind is anything you do is ultimately about you, right? Even helping people, while you love seeing the changes and seeing them happy, that makes you feel good. So it's still ultimately about you.
Well, and ultimately, me and you and everybody, it's all the same, right? And that's,
Yeah.
I suppose, where we're all headed in some way.
Yeah. So if you feel like there's part of you that wants something for yourself and you start to feel guilty about it, you're actually pulling away from what you can do. When you say, well, yeah, I get a benefit out of that, and it's nothing to feel guilty about it because everyone functions to improve their lives, to be happy personally, then once the guilt's away, your impact will actually expand.
Yeah.
So are you willing to step out of the story that you should feel guilty about wanting things for yourself when you do your work?
100%. Yeah. I mean, the feeling guilty.
Ooh, okay.
Okay. Well, I have learned in our conversation that that's a good sign.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm very aware, at least
Mhm.
consciously, and maybe it's gone deeper now,
Yeah.
that any guilt or self recrimination is only exacerbating that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Do you have to get to the level of those people you admire?
No.
Okay. And that's not coming up true either.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
right. So, I mean, it would be wonderful to get there as long as it's a choice. You know what? That's what I'm going to do, as
Hmm.
opposed to I have to. I have to is resistance. I
Hmm.
have to is a burden.
Hmm.
I'm going to is a decision.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
So, are you
gosh.
willing to step out of the story that you have to get to the level that they are at?
I am. Thank you.
Welcome.
Hmm.
Yeah. And that's, when it's going to, that's also when it becomes fun. Have to is a job, and it might not always be the best experience, especially like if people aren't getting the results, then you're like, oh, what do I do to get the results? Rather than, they're not in a place to get the results now. Let's see if we work with that later on, or if we just accept that that's where they are.
Hmm.
I see a lot of healers that they're like, I didn't get them the shift I wanted. I didn't get them the heal. And they're like, self-doubting, self-blaming. And I was like, why not just accept what happened?
Yeah.
Because the energy you're going into is not going to help anyone. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. Beautiful. Okay. Cool. Well, that's I appreciate that personally, and hopefully that's great for our audience too to have a better understanding of how you work.
thank you.
So let's shift gears a little bit then. I know you've got an event coming up, which I'm excited about. Would you tell us a bit about that?
So every year, December 31st, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern, we do an event to get rid of all the crap that's accumulated over the year.
Hmm.
So the limiting beliefs, the self-doubt, um, just stuff that comes up that people have said that has just sort of landed and stuck with you.
Hmm.
And it's called Release, Reset, and Reignite Your Magic for the New Year. So people have said after this workshop, they have fewer ups and downs in the new year. They have healthier habits. They have better relationships. They even make more money. I actually had one of my coaches came in 2022, and he'd been my coach for a while, but he didn't actually know what I did. He'd never come to a workshop. He said, let me just find out what Shiraz does. I know it's about mindset and stuff. And I was working on someone else. And this is the wonderful thing about being in the group. I was working on someone else. And when I shifted them, he shifted along with that guy. And it was a 5-minute thing. And the next year, he did an additional $3.8 million in sales.
Wow.
Right? So he's like, yeah, no, I'm going to keep coming to this. So,
That's beautiful.
yeah. And and it's a lot of fun. We do it in the afternoon purposely, 1 to 4 Eastern, so that you can get stuff cleared in the afternoon. Then if you want to go party on New Year's Eve, or if you just want to sit and watch the ball drop on TV, you can do that. Although we do get some people from Europe that a lot of them finish just before they go out to party. And we've even had some people from Australia that came back after they celebrated New Year's.
Hmm.
I'm talking to them like, what time is it for you? They're like 4 a.m., but we're here, man. We're doing this.
Yeah, beautiful. Which as you say that, that's also a great symbol of their commitment,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which harkens back to earlier part of our conversation, like the difference between hoping and deciding. Yeah.
Yeah. And someone just asked me today, she said, should I do anything to prepare for this event?
Hmm.
And no one's actually ever asked me that before. And I thought about it and I said, yes, you want to get into a state where I'm going to drop all my crap during this event,
Mm-hmm.
because I find a bunch of people that come in, it's like what I talked about earlier. I hope I'll drop all my crap. I
Right.
hope this is effective. But when you're coming in going, yep, this is it. This is where it drops off, so we can start the new year fresh. You get bigger results.
Makes total sense. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Okay. Well, and for the wise folks in our audience who say, I want into that, how do they do it?
You can go to energeticmagic.com, and right on the homepage is yep, the banner for it. Just click on it and you can join. And I will give you a code right now. It's called Holly Yay, like holiday, but you're going to celebrate. So Holly Yay, and that'll drop the ticket price to about 25% of what it actually is.
Okay, perfect. Well, that's great. Thank you. Awesome. And well, as time is moving along for us here, is there anything that we haven't spoken about or talked about? I know you've got a gift, and I've got a big final question. We'll get to those. But anything that we haven't spoken about that you would like to bring forward?
Sure. When I talk about this being an addiction,
Hmm.
and when you get that it's an addiction, treat it as such, but also be forgiving of yourself. So what I've found is when people start to make progress and they lose it, they go into withdrawal.
Hmm.
Then there's all this self-punishment. What's wrong with you? Why'd you do this? You were making progress and you stopped. You want to get to a loving place of, you fell off the wagon. It's okay. Let's just get back up and do it again. And that's going to make getting out of the addiction easier when you talk to yourself in a more loving voice. Right? My advice is always talk to yourself like you would talk to a 2 or 3-year-old that's hurting.
Hmm.
Right? If you see a 3-year-old fail at trying to build something, you don't go, well, you suck, man. You should know better. Like, if you do, okay, there's other issues we need to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when we do it ourselves and we fail at something, that's often the conversation.
Yeah.
Right? And the more you're loving to yourself, the easier things get. And here's the cool thing is the more other people are loving to you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that you brought that forward. And that's one of the greatest parts of my own work too. I call it innocence, right? Knowing our innocence. I think of it as learning the power of self-love,
Mhm.
right? And one of my mentors is renowned for, he can spend just a few minutes with people and they feel so loved and seen. And when asked by someone, how does that happen? How do you do that? He said, because I love myself that much.
Mhm.
So what would you advise in terms of for people how to create that? Because the beating up ourselves is such a common addiction in the world. Obviously the work that you do can address that directly, but is there anything you can say, more for the wider audience around that?
It's not just more loving conversations, have fun conversations with yourself.
Huh.
Right? I mean, I'll do things like, walk by a mirror, go, yeah, you're looking good today, and just like that playful thing. I'll screw something up and compliment myself. Like one day I was making some tea, and I put the hot water in the cup. I went over, put the milk in, and then I went to taste the tea, and I'm like, oh my god, what is wrong with this tea? I never put the tea bag in. Right? So just water and milk. But rather than going, you idiot, I went, well, that was brilliant, because everything you say is programming your mind on who you are.
Yeah.
If I trip, I'm going, well, that was elegant. So it's always positive reinforcement to myself. And I know what I'm doing. I'm just having fun with it. And the more fun you have with that talk to yourself, the more fun you bring into your life. You actually get addicted to emotions. Right. And if you've ever read Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza,
Yeah, of
he goes
course.
into the science of it, of we have the receptors on ourselves for specific emotions, and that you have to go through the withdrawal of not having that emotion long enough for the receptors to change so that they receive the chemicals for the new emotion you're trying to program in.
Yeah.
So I used to live in this place of frustration back when I had the arthritis. Then I got into a place of, it was more like pride for working hard. And now it's this place of fun where there's laughter every single day. And it's not just like laughter, it's big belly laughs every single day. And that's my addictive state. So if things start to go bad, my body's like, no, we need laughter. And it drives me to do something that's going to cause laughter. And that's an addiction I'm keeping. Like, that's not going away.
Yeah. I love that. One of my earliest mentors, super wise person. I was really in the thick of my healing process then, which of course, can go on forever. I remember one time he just looked at me and he said, "It's not that serious." Right.
Yeah.
I loved it. The other one that came to mind, I lament that grocery stores no longer have the mats on either side that cause the doors to open. Right now we've got sensors and all that.
Yeah.
Because a great author and friend, Joseph McClendon, had one that rivals yours, I think, where he built a practice for himself of every time he would step on one of those and the door was open, he would go like this and say, "Yes, it's me," as if the doors are opening for him. Beautiful
You can
thing.
still do that with the sensors.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah. I do the whole thing with the Jedi thing. I'm like, open.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, reality bending.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, cool. So thank you for bringing that. I'm really glad you did. It's such a beautiful and important part of the process. And I would say in some way, without cultivating that, what you just spoke about, making it fun, self-loving, all of that, having great conversations with yourself, most of the rest of what we want to do becomes very hard or maybe even impossible, right? If we're always beating ourselves up. So that's fundamental. Thank you. So let's talk about, you have so kind to offer a complimentary gift for our audience, right? Will you say a little bit about what that is?
Sure. So in order to manifest what you want, you need to hold a thought and the associated emotion for about 30 seconds or more. Right. And that's how long it takes for the rewiring of the neural pathways to start happening. If it's short segments, like let's say you want to speak on stage, if you imagine yourself on stage, but then imagine yourself on another stage, or then you're giving a talk and then you're like, well, no, what if I gave this talk? Your brain's like, well, these are quick images. I know I'm just thinking about stuff. But if it's one continuous image, you're on stage, you're talking, it's from a first person point of view, and you're feeling confident, you're feeling the love from the audience, and you just keep that scene going, you can actually start giving the talk, then your brain thinks it's actually happening. So it starts rewiring your neural pathways to say, this is who I am. And you can do that for speaking on a stage, doing a sales call, being in a relationship, whatever it is. You just have to learn to do that. Now, here's the problem. Most people can hold a thought for 7 seconds or less, which is about the same as a goldfish.
Okay.
So you actually have to train your brain to hold thoughts that long. And then once your brain's trained, you do the visualization. It's like going to the gym and then doing your favorite sport. So I've created a series of audios called Stop Thinking Like a Goldfish audios. And so you can listen to these audios and and you can get them at goldfishnomore.com. And what's going to happen is there's different ones that do different things. You can just focus on your breathing and just concentrate only on your breathing. There's one where it makes you focus on sounds, and you basically hold your focus on specific sounds for long periods of time. There's one where it's on touch. And because it's done this way, if it's sounds, you could do it while you're out for a walk and just focus on sounds. If it's touch, you could do it while you say you're doing the dishes or holding your kid or whatever it is. And so it doesn't have to add extra time to your day to do these exercises to train your brain so that then you can start manifesting whatever the hell you want.
Right on. That's beautiful. Okay. Goldfishnomore.com. I love it. That's beautiful. So I think, Shiraz, that brings us to the final question, the big question. And I joke and say it's an impossible question because it's so big, which means you can't mess it up. And I say it's impossible because you've got such a wealth of experience and wisdom. And my question to you, what I'm asking you to do right now, is distill all of that. So if you had one thing to say to our audience that would help them live their most vibrant, thriving life, What's that one thing?
Be happy as often as you can. You can't do it all the time, but be happy as often as you can. Why else are we here?
Be happy as often as you can. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. Thank you. Simple.
Yep.
Yeah, beautiful. All right. Well, Shiraz, I'm so grateful for you being here and investing this time with us. Equally, I'm grateful for all that you have committed to and done in your life to create you to be someone who has so much to give here. So thank you for all of that.
Thank you. This was great. I enjoyed being on your show.
Right on. Awesome. Well, we will connect again soon. And for y'all in our audience, thank you, because truly you are the superstars of this show. And I'm so grateful that you're here. I'm grateful that you are choosing to invest your time in creating a more vibrant, thriving life. I'm psyched for you. And I'm also psyched for the world because it makes a difference in the world. So again, thank you. Please come back soon. I love you. Make your life a masterpiece. Mahalo for tuning in to the Art of Vibrant Living show, y'all. I'm Daniel Aaron, and may you live with great vibrancy.